2,200 hours. That's how long it's taken me to formulate these opinions. Now, some people might look at me and say, well, if it's taken you that long, you're probably a bit slow, and you might be correct. But nonetheless, I've done it now, and I've got some opinions. And today I'd like to talk about 5 things, or 5 or 6 things really, 2 of them blend together, that really I feel need to change in this game. That shouldn't be huge sweeping changes. It's not stuff like they need to release the campaigns, they need to release this class. These are problems with the game as it functions as a league, problems with the game as it functions as an end game, and just sweeping problems between the balance of character builds. But let's get right on into it. We're going to start off talking about the state of this economy. First and foremost, then, I think the number one problem that I've seen, particularly when it comes to player retention, is the state of this economy. You'll see behind my head somewhere over there, you should see some things happening on the screen. We're probably looking at the Exalt prices right now, trading at somewhere around 2,000 Exalts to a Divine. This inflation has been rampant from the start. It started off 4 or 5 Exalts to a Divine. End of week 1, I think it was somewhere close to 80 already, and that has been rampant throughout. What this does actually mean is that casual players, they're never going to be able to keep up. You take a weekend away and you can't get your trades done, well, you're stuffed because you missed 2 days of trades. Now all the prices have changed, inflation's gone rampant, you've got to reprice everything, you've got 2 hours to play, half an hour of it's going to be spent repricing, maybe more, or you're just not going to bother, and you're never going to get those divines that you need to build your character up, so you're just going to stop playing. So I think the economy is hit by really mainly 2 things. We've probably got the Exalt to mirror, Divine to mirror price up on screen right now, and that's probably looking at somewhere close to around 2,000, 3,000, I think, which is just, no one's going to be able to afford this unless you've been playing all league or your end game crafting. That's how I think this is fixed. Now, hopefully, should be seeing a picture of something that should fix this. Something like a crafting bench where you can dump out early currencies, where you can spend 15, 50 Exalts to have a deterministic trade, and it helps to suck that out of the economy, which helps to keep inflation down. The other thing that would really help, offline trading. Just being able to buy things from someone from their stash, right? So you don't have to be online all the time to make these trades. It's really, really unfriendly, and it really hurts the economy. Next up, we got to talk about this build diversity. It is terrible. It was bad in League 1, where we had everyone basically playing Tempest Spell, Gemling, Legionnaire, or Spark Sorceress. And then this league, we've got a return of the Spark Sorceress in the form of a Blood Mage. Everything that we were playing that was good enough for endgame has been nerfed completely out of the game. And what they've added is Lightning Spear, which I think there's probably a graphic on the screen that side, not this side, showing that about 50% of players are playing that. We've got 4 Ascendancies holding 50% of all players, and yeah, everyone's using the same skills. If you look at the passive heat map, everybody is on the evasion, lightning, crit side of the tree. Hardly anyone's playing anything else. This isn't healthy for the game, it's not healthy for the economy. It means everyone's chasing just the same rares with the same stats, and that's all that 50% of the players are even buying. And this isn't because that's it is because that's the only viable build for endgame. This forget everything you know nonsense. No. Tune down things that are broken. Don't remove them from the game entirely. I think it's fundamentally hurting the player base. I've played the one class. I've won the game with the one class. I'm not going to be able to achieve that greatness with anything else. It's an off-putting feeling. And I think that the way that things were nerfed, particularly things that were good in last league, Tempest Spell, Tempest Flurry, and the items that made those builds work, I think taking all of that out in one sweeping hit has done horrible things for the game. It doesn't feel like it's got as much diversity. It doesn't feel like it's got as many options as things that are actually viable into the end game this league. And I really do hope that trend doesn't continue, because if next league we're 60% people all playing the same class because everything else has been nerfed and everyone's playing the one new thing, that's not going to be very fun. So we've got to talk a little bit then, if we're talking about diversity, about the skill tree. So take a look at lightning. We've got some obvious modifiers there. We've got percentage increase that you can scale off of an attribute, and we've got a more multiplier there from Wildstorm. If we take a look at the other things around, taking a look at fire, cold, they have nothing that is going to scale like that. They've got nothing that's going to multiply off an attribute. They've got nothing that's doing a more multiplier. They are objectively worse from the skill tree, which just makes speccing into those skill types even harder than it needs to be. there needs to be some revision on this skill tree to bring cold, to bring fire to life. At the moment, they just don't feel like they are. Quick midpoint of the video, guys. If you are enjoying this one, you do have some comments about the things we've spoken about already, drop them in the comments. Happy to chat about these, and don't forget to give the video maybe a like. If you're not subscribed yet, why not? Get subscribed. We'll be here playing 0.3, even though it sounds like I won't be. Back to the ramblings of a grumpy old man. Well, it was just a short one, but I think it deserves a mention. Support gem usage. Why can only the gemling equip multiple of the same type of support gem? It is so restrictive when it comes to builds. You have to try and balance in all these support gems, and they've got ones that are just kind of like similar. They ultimately end up with the same sort of multiplication going on, and it's like, why make it? Why? It seems just like it seems like an unnecessary restriction on player power and being able to sort of build how you see fit. The amount of times I've thought, I wish I could use that skill gem in 2 places, especially when you come to certain builds that are stacking up, casting the same spell, then having cast-ons for the same spell. It just becomes this myriad of different skill gems you have to manage. I don't think it's particularly good. I'd rather have the freedom to use a skill gem per skill once, rather than be limited to just 1 skill gem in my entire setup. Especially with the amount of skills we can now use, it feels incredibly restrictive. Time for a trip down nostalgia lane. Does everyone remember how good some of those boss drops were? Does everyone remember the original Melting Maelstrom, how it would fill your entire mana back up? Yeah, it had the negative of doing some chaos damage, but you could hit it and get all your mana back. Or do you remember the original Hand of Wisdom in Action, where you got stats per 10 rather than per 20? Or indeed, the original Temporalis, which actually reduced the cooldown of quite a number of skills to 0. Doesn't do that anymore, does it? But they made it even harder to get it. So what's happened with these boss rewards? What's happened with this endgame? Well, as far as I can tell, every single reason to do any of the endgame content, the exception maybe being Arbiter here, in other words, the chase uniques, they've all gone. So, and we now also don't get experience from them. So, what is the end game? What are we supposed to be doing once we've hit 92 and we've got into our tier 15 maps, tier 16s, if you're running those? What are we actually supposed to do? What's the end game? I don't understand. What are we chasing? Are we running around maps hoping for that tier 0 rare unique to drop, or to finally drop a rare that has 2 lines out of the 6 that are useful for our character? I don't understand the direction of the endgame. I don't understand it. I don't understand why it was neutered, why every single bit of endgame content was neutered, but then we've added in wisps as the new endgame content, which quite frankly is shit. So where's the direction? What's going on? Why neuter those? Is it because they were target farmable, so people were including them in every build? I don't get it, but I think they need to bring back some of that power and bring back the rewards for doing the endgame. At the moment, it just feels pointless. And last, but by no means least, the part that's very close to my heart, having just done the grind to level 100, the Atlas. I believe this has been designed so that when someone goes into a boardroom to show this to a load of C-suite executives, they all stand up and they clap and they cheer and they hear words like procedural and they go, my grandkids play procedurally generated games like Minecraft. This is going to be a winner. That's got billions of revenue. And that's just not the reality of how this works in this game. If you look behind, I'm scrolling around my Atlas while I'm talking here, showing you the extent of everything I had to do. It is absolutely nightmarish to navigate. You can't find the keys you want. You can't find the zones you want. The experience of using it, even on the 5070, you'll see the grey squares appearing. The performance is terrible, and it just doesn't scale for the amount of endgame people want to do. It's a bad design. It needs to be ripped out and changed, completely overhauled. The whole Atlas is terrible. If it got ripped out and made into the exact Path of Exile 1 Atlas, which worked fine, I'd be happy with that. I don't need an experience pretending I'm a conquistador. I'm quite fine just playing my action RPG and blowing up monsters. And on that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed my rant. We will, of course, be here for 0.3. If you want to be along for the ride, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave the video a like if you have enjoyed it. If you got some comments, think I missed something, drop them in the comments. Happy to chat about this one. I'll catch you guys in the next video.